It's the Sunday Chronicle on Stacks 92.1. It's the Sunday Chronicle. We gon' give the news and keep you up to date. From crimes to the politics, you gon' know what's up about your way. We give 2 thumbs up to everyone out here doing their thing. We gon' show mad love to all the ones working hard in communities. It's the Sunday Chronicle.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Chronicle. I'm your host, Giannis Jackson, coming to you from Stacks 92.1 FM. This is the platform for the community because community knows what community needs. I'd like to thank all my listeners for being here again today, bright and early on this Sunday morning. I also would like to thank my witty co-host, Span, and that's S-P-A-N. I think I'm going to say that every time I come on. I'm going to make sure to spell it because we have this thing. He keeps saying I say Stan, and I don't. But I'm going to move over and say this. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Randall Taliaferro, and he is the interim city manager of East Lansing. And I'm really glad to have you back here because you have been moving and grooving because I remember you moving away and now it seems like you're back. So I would just love to hear a little bit about that, after you tell me a little bit about your background.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for having me today.
Thanks for being here.
Okay. My background, I started as I grew up in the city of Flint, and I was born and raised there, and went through high school until I left for college, and then I came back and returned, and ultimately started working at the fire department at one point. And so I worked there just shy of 17 years before I retired from Flint Fire as an assistant chief, and took the job of fire chief for the city of East Lansing in 2001. I remained in that capacity until 2021, at which point I retired and I moved out to Arizona, area called Fountain Hills, Arizona. It's right adjacent to Scottsdale there.
Yes.
And I really went out there. That's where my parents are. And I was out there to assist them. And actually, it was a good time to be there. When I got there, my father got sick, and so I was there during a very difficult time then, but I was glad I was there.
Yeah.
I was asked to consider returning to take the job of interim city manager, primarily to help through a difficult time.
Yes.
There's a period of transition there in East Lansing. It is expected to be something that's not permanent, and that worked for me, and it seemed to work for them. And so I don't know if you have more, but that's probably my background.
Well, hey, I'm glad to have you back in whatever capacity. And so, your background, you're being very humble, I think. I wanted to hear a little bit about, I don't know if this is the cookie cutter stuff, but with a man with your credentials, I just love for you to share them with us. Is it Navy? Is it Harvard? Or is it both? I think.
So I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan. I had a degree in liberal arts with emphasis in public administration. I was a longtime college student. I started actually at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor and graduated there at the University of Michigan Flint just before I took the job with East Lansing. Subsequently, I did go through the Naval Postgraduate School Center for Homeland Security and Defense. It was a pretty prestigious program that had to do with Homeland Security, and it was for a master's degree. I'm always careful about that. I did not complete my thesis. I kind of moved away from what they were, the curriculum, I think, I did all the coursework, did everything that was required, but at the time I was in the program, there's a lot of emphasis on the Homeland Security aspect, and we were dealing with Al Qaeda and ISIS and all of those issues. And it just wasn't. It was something that I wanted to know about, that fascinated me, but it wasn't something I wanted to do. I don't want to live in a world where I have to be fearful of terrorists around every corner. And so I started the program. It was supposed to be emergency management, more focused on emergency management. But the bigger issues at the time were Al Qaeda and ISIS, rightly so. And I think recognizing I was toward the back end of my career, I had no desire to go into that. I also was a participant. I was a fellow for the Harvard Kennedy School of State and Local Government. That was not a extensive program. It was a little over a month, but it was actually a wonderful experience, and it was very insightful.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Giannis, but I mean, you dealt with security threats, and now you're the interim city manager for East Lansing during a shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, you go from, out of the frying pan into the fire, it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Span, that it's interesting because I was very grateful when I was working as fire chief. We of course had emergency medical services as well, and we actually formed a team that was an active violence response team during that period that was used during this most recent event at Michigan State University. And so when I left, I was really thankful to not have to experience that. And I returned on the day of that shooting and that tragedy. And it was obviously very difficult, and I know more so for people that were right there engaged and people that were affected by it. But I was there on campus. That was where I'm staying during this interim process. And so I listened to all of the radio traffic, dispatch radio traffic, and the transmissions. And while I was, I think it was a devastating incident, I was very proud of the response. And I knew that having that team together benefited this community greatly during that time. So the response was wonderful. It's just the fact that you should even have to respond to an event like that that's troubling.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and it's good to know that you do have a heart for service, and I see that in your background and the way that you continue to work to help others. And so that is very inspiring, and that's why I asked you here, so you can share some of these things that you've been doing, and I'm glad that you're humble, right? It's good that you're so humble, but I would like to celebrate people such as you, because you are the everyday heroes that inspire, to help us to know that, we can do that too. There's somebody out there that really cares,
right,
that wants to help build you up. And that's what I see when I see you. And so these are the stories that I want to share, right?
Yeah, people don't understand the heart that goes into people who want to work in city government,
in
municipalities. Like, it is a lot. You get hit with a fire hose of problems, and that's all you do. Fix other people's problems all day.
You put out fires.
Yes.
And
it's thankless because no one's out there.
Yeah.
So, yes, Giannis, awesome.
Yeah, I want to bring this forward. And this is part of the vision, like stemming from the Chronicle News being the print publication, and then being able to have another platform that's accessible for people in the community to tell their stories, because these are the real stories that are going to help people get out of bed, right? They're going to help people know I can get through X, Y, Z thing because they did, and it's real to them, right?
Well, and I am thankful that you exist and for your work and what you're doing to try to communicate those stories. I will say that one of the things that motivated me, I always call myself the accidental fire chief.
The accidental fire chief.
I never set out to be a fire chief, and I think you would have gone through 500 career choices before I picked firefighting and fire chief and paramedic. And I used to work with the phone company, and they were dissolving the Bell systems, and and I was going to be relocated, and there were some other things happening, and I heard an ad about the fire department hiring, and that it was something that they were encouraging us to apply, and I said, well, I could do that until I find the job I really like. And once I knew more about the job and I took on that responsibility, it was really important to me because I recognized that we weren't represented in those careers, fire and police and emergency medical services.
When you say we, who do you mean?
I mean the Black community.
Yes, yes.
There were very few minorities of any culture or background in the fire service, and so I started there in an environment where it was very rare. It still is, actually. And it's male dominated, and there are very few women in that. And then as I was working, I remember I was more interested in the paramedic service and the paramedic license. So I was a paramedic for quite a while, but it became very apparent to me that that there was opportunity to move up and advance, and more importantly, that I think that service to your community, especially a community like my own that might be underserved, and it's very important what you said earlier about having role models and having people in those roles that might inspire someone else.
Representation matters.
Yes, and falling in, or I don't want to say falling into your purpose, but getting, into that spot where you are walking in your purpose, right? And coming about it that way. And I would like to talk a little bit more about the current role you're in and some of the things that inspire you as far as community goes. But we're going to take a short break, but not before I remind our listeners that you are listening to the Sunday Chronicle. I'm your host, Giannis Jackson, coming to you from Stax 92.1 FM. This is the platform for the community because community knows what community needs. We'll be back after this.
At Lansing Community College, I'm learning for my future. LCC offers 1- and 2-year pathways to careers in healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and other professional trades. More than 500,000 professional trades jobs will need to be filled in Michigan by 2026. So I know I'm learning for a great career. I belong at LCC. You belong here too. Visit lcc.edu/youbelong and enroll today.
Let me tell you a story about Bill. Bill was a normal guy in his 50s. He had back surgery about 2 years ago. Bill was in a lot of pain. He dealt with his pain by taking the Percocets his doctor prescribed for him. Bill took more and more and more of them to help with the pain until one day the prescriptions weren't enough to get rid of Bill's pain. Then one day Bill found someone to help him get rid of the pain with illegal drugs he didn't need a prescription for. Fast forward to today. Bill lost his job and his family. The only thing he does have is his drug dealer. If you know Bill's story and you don't want to end up like Bill, call the Detox and Treatment Helpline right now to get away and get treatment.
800-210-7907. 800-210-7907. 800-210-7907. That's 800-210-7907.
Welcome back to the Sunday Chronicle. I'm your host, Giannis Jackson, coming to you from Stax 92.1 FM. Today, we're talking with the interim city manager, Mr. Randall Taliaferro, and he is here telling us about his background, community service, his love for community. And now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of his job responsibilities, his job role in the city of East Lansing. So just tell me a little bit about that, if you could.
Okay, I mentioned there earlier, I said I was the accidental fire chief. And I guess that extends to city manager as well.
Okay.
I did not expect to ever be working in this capacity. And I was approached as they were discussing the changes that might be happening in the city of East Lansing, to see if I would consider serving in the interim capacity as the city manager. The mission, I think, at that time was to try to have some stability and to try to have someone that has some of the institutional knowledge, familiar with some of the department heads and the community at large, that could stand in and fill in during this time as a search was conducted.
Okay.
And I do have a real love of this area. I really love my stay and my time in East Lansing. I think if you could export the sunshine of Arizona, I would be here.
I was just about to say, you had a good time in Arizona. Don't play.
Don't be trying. Yeah, he's like, you rubbing it in.
He was like, wait. Where are your snow shovels? Where's your mucklucks?
You don't have to shovel the heat. That's for sure.
That's a good one there. So I have a question. Okay, so city manager, and I'm thinking about that. Now it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is similar to the responsibilities of what most people would know as a mayor, right?
That's correct.
But the form of government or that is structured differently, right? So more power lies with the city council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
yep.
So the mayor's function is a little bit different. Is it more like working along, and then the city manager is more in charge of the budget and operations or functions of the city? Am I?
That's correct.
It feels like the mayor does the speeches and you do the work.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I mean,
and from what you said, that's why I was like,
I want to tread
you
lightly
said that,
here.
Stan. I did not say that.
I didn't say it. I'm going to tread lightly because I'm gonna call the mayor of East Lansing and I'm going to say hi.
I won't be interim for long, maybe. That's for sure. I think that yes, there are two forms of government there, and one is referred to as the strong mayor. Mm-hmm. One is a weak mayor form of government.
Okay.
And so in a strong mayor form of government, you're elected by the populace, and then you come in and you take on the day-to-day operations of the city.
Is it more like a dictatorship, or?
It's not really a dictatorship, but they definitely are more involved in the daily operations, and they have more kind of oversight of the different departments and agencies within the city.
Okay.
In a weak mayor form of government, you have an elected city council, and the city council votes among itself on who will wear the title of mayor. And the mayor is the person that would be often the spokesperson or the face of the city during events and other things. But the city council hires the city manager, and the city manager then operates very much like a strong mayor would in a strong mayor form of government, and they have oversight for the budget, the day-to-day operations, and all of the respective departments.
You see what I just did there, right? So he is like the mayor, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say. Well, it's like the job functions that he's operating in, and he's just like, well, I'm just, I'm not doing much here. I'm just kind of, if that's enough, and you're being a little modest here.
Well,
so
it has to be. Because if you tell people how much work you have to do, they just get all like, So you have to be like, I don't really do much. I'm just kind of here.
But yeah, it's like a sleeper. It's like he's not. Yeah. Like, but that's good sometimes. But no, I really respect what you are doing, and I want people to know the magnitude of it. It's no little thing. I mean, to come in and basically be like a CEO of the city, to handle the operations.
Like, can you come in and run the town, please?
Yes. And whether it's 3 months, I mean, that's 3 months of a lot of stuff. So that's a lot. so we thank you for that. I mean, and so in this role, and I know, you say it's a short time, maybe it may be longer. I don't know. Who knows, right? But what are
you want more time?
Dad, do you want to be here longer?
Well, our arrangement was for up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months?
Up to 6 months. That's kind of...
I never say never, but really I did not come in with that expectation. And if I, in the moment, I don't anticipate that happening.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just wondering, now, in that time, can you tell me some of your goals or some of the things you'd like to achieve in that time period?
Well, I would hope to
Get
help.
Michigan State to the championship, of course.
Of
Oh,
course,
yeah,
yes. I hope to provide some insight on what is desired in the next city manager, to be able to give them some, offer them some, not guidance as much as perhaps recommendations on what I'm hearing from staff, what I'm hearing from community members, what I'm hearing, of course, from city council that are pressing needs and urgent needs, and then and just be, I guess, in a place where I can be helpful, and then also provide some stability as the search continues.
Okay.
It's difficult when you're having transition. People are anxious. They're apprehensive about what does this mean for me? What does it mean for my job? All of those things. And so hopefully we can, provide a sense of calm and help people to move toward the transition.
Yes. And I mean, you are aware, this area and some of the challenges that the city of Lansing is facing. And do you believe if the city of Lansing had acquired that form of government as far as at a local level, do you think it would be more beneficial for the people, for the community, as actually decision making? What do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough question. But I will say this.
Was that loaded? I mean, was it like that?
I was like, go ahead, set your career on fire. I'm playing.
I think what I would say is that the mayor and any mayor, most will typically have a city administrator as well as themselves. So while they have oversight for all those responsibilities, oftentimes in a strong mayor form of government, more of their time is spent on, or a significant amount of their time is spent also on the things that are required in politics, the lobbying for more money, more jobs, more business, and the city administrator or whatever title they will give to that person would help with some of the daily operations. So I think to a certain extent, there is some elements of that form of government. I think where there could be advantages to a city manager form is that you may not have a change of direction as much as you would in a strong mayor form of government. So you could have a mayor that's going down one path and then not get reelected, and someone else that comes in and goes down a completely different path, and so you could have a little bit more swings in what the expectations are.
Yeah, and that's a major change, right? When we go from one mayor to another, that transition, I mean, you just don't know, how much it has a huge impact. And, I just wonder, what would that be like? I mean, I think about it. I think ways of putting the power back in the hands of the people, because we say it's a democracy. But, I'm going to stop there. Because
sounds like there's more there, Yana.
No, I'm going to stop there because I'll get all I'll go get my Afro wig.
Well, there and some people, and I think rightly so, would argue that that happens in the election process, I think. But again, it can be a little, there's value in politics. I think that you have to lobby to get resources and all of those things, but there's also, I think, disadvantages when it becomes too political and you I think it's ideally for me, and sorry to interrupt, that's okay. I'd like for it to be more balanced in the political system or political arena, more checks and balances.
Amen.
And that's just I don't know if that's fantasy land, but for me, I've had my share and my fill of politics. I don't know if that's an avenue I'll go down again, because from what my experience, I've seen I could do more good walking or being on the ground, so to speak, right? And I've learned how to use my resources to help benefit people in the community. and I work with them and I build a rapport with them and they trust me and I can get things done and it doesn't necessarily need all this approval and red tape, you know, and I earn the respect and the trust of a lot of people in the community and I work for them. So, you know, people ask me if I'm a run and I really don't have to. Yeah. So with that, the transition. So Span.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think?
I think I've always been fascinated with, especially in the last few years, politics around certain events in 2015 that transpired nationally. I started to take more of a focus. I felt like as a man and as a black man in this area, I am not nearly as engaged with the political arena as I should, because all policy comes from these people. I check off a box every year or 2 years, and if I don't know what they're doing or why, like if I don't know what the drain commissioner is doing, then why am I voting? As a citizen for democracy to work, we have to be engaged in the process. And if we're not engaged in the process, we are actively hurting our community by not knowing what's going on with the people who are being paid by my money to determine policy that tells me when and where I can and cannot drive or be or say or talk. Right. So, I am so appreciative to know that you, Randy, came out here and was like, I will be this emergency manager, even on a temporary basis, because sometimes doing something temporary is harder than taking on the job permanently.
Right. I mean, he has to come in and hit the ground running.
Yes.
I mean,
there is all the expectations of the person who got elected.
There is no wait till tomorrow. It's like, what's going to happen now, right?
Well, I think to that end, you have, you know, perhaps less political concerns, and so you can be a little bit freer in your decisions and a little bit more, you don't have to be as cognizant of those things. Yeah. And politics has, in my view, changed quite a bit. I personally think gerrymandering and some of the things that have happened so that you only speak to your political party and to the issues and concerns of your party. Yeah. That probably happened to our detriment because there's such a divide now.
It is. Yeah. It's very divisive, and it just... I think that's the thing that sits with me a lot is some people would not want me to represent them if I declared being one party or the other. And so I it's difficult for me to wrap my head around that, you know. And so I think in that, you know, I don't want to not be myself, right? If I'm taking a job and I'm serving the public, you know, I don't know if I could be everything that every person asked me a question wanted me to be. And if I wasn't that, you know.
Well, and it's interesting that was one of the advantages of the state and local government program, because there were a lot of discussion on issues like that and what your expectations are or would be. So, you know, there are some people that are very political and they're aspirational and they want to climb, and you know, they might make more promises and, you know, as they're trying to build their coalition so that they can move to certain levels. And I think that there are others that, you know, come in for different reasons, sometimes just for a single issue, and that can be problematic. But I think, you know, it's harder to be genuine, just concerned about, you know, making some improvements in your community and stay in that space if that's the space you want to be in. And that there often is a crossroads where you have to decide how impactful you can be and where you want to have that impact. But I would say this, that we need people in politics that are good people that will press those agendas, and sometimes that understand how to work the systems to get those resources.
Because it's not easy, and we need those people to do that for us and represent us, you know. Right. And I would say, you know, in doing that myself, you know, I want to make sure in whatever I do moving forward that I stay true to myself. And so I think that's the most important thing, and why I don't just dive into any endeavor anymore, right? And so
that's thoughtful.
And so that's kind of where I am. I think it's that life after 40 thing. I don't know. People, I would like to thank you for being here again to listen to the Sunday Chronicle. I'd like to thank my guests. Thank you, Randy, for being here
so much
and doing what you're doing for the city, not only East Lansing, but Lansing and just so many other people, just touching lives all over. Span, S-P-A-N, my co-host. That is the most. Thank you. I appreciate you for being here.
You're welcome.
All right. Adding
my pleasure.
that much needed dynamic. And in that, I'm going to close and say, please join us again for the Sunday Chronicle, same time next week. I'm your host, Giannis Jackson, coming to you from Stax 92.1 FM. This is the platform for the community because community knows what community needs. Make it a great week.
At Lansing Community College, I'm learning for my future. LCC offers 1- and 2-year pathways to careers in healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and other professional trades. More than 500,000 professional trades jobs will need to be filled in Michigan by 2026. So I know I'm learning for a great career. I belong at LCC. You belong here too. Visit lcc.edu/youbelong and enroll today.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-953-0866. 800-953-0866. 800-953-0866. That's 800-953-0866.
Let me tell you a story about Bill. Bill was a normal guy in his 50s. He had back surgery about 2 years ago. Bill was in a lot of pain. He dealt with his pain by taking the Percocets his doctor prescribed for him. Bill took more and more and more of them to help with the pain until one day the prescriptions weren't enough to get rid of Bill's pain. Then one day Bill found someone to help him get rid of the pain with illegal drugs he didn't need a prescription for. Fast forward to today. Bill lost his job and his family. The only thing he does have is his drug dealer. If you know Bill's story and you don't want to end up like Bill, call the Detox and Treatment Helpline right now to get away and get treatment.
800-210-7907. 800-210-7907. 800-210-7907. That's 800-210-7907.